Well, it's another Thursday night. Let me back off the mic here a little bit. Running just a couple of minutes late. Hey, everyone, how you doing? Welcome to RELICS Radio. Those of you joining us live, those of you joining us in the chat room, listening live, waving their hands virtually, I can see you. And those even that are going to catch us on the replay in the next couple of weeks. We sure appreciate you being here, joined, as always, by my co-host, Tony from 5280 Adventures. How you doing, Tony?
I am blessed. How are you doing? You stay warm?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad today. Boy, I am doing the sun dance. You know why. You know why, too. Boy, I am praying for heat, sun, and snow melt. Come on.
We've got a lot of stuff. We've been busy this week that we really probably can't talk a lot about up here, but we need some sun, we need some snow to melt, and we need some time swinging our brand new machines, right?
Yeah, both of us are swinging brand new machines.
And I want to let everybody know, like, we have our cameras on so we can see each other for the podcast. Obviously, you guys can't see us through here, but Ken is wearing a Mind Lab hat.
That's right.
What's up with? I thought you were a Nocta guy. What's up with that, man?
Yeah. Well, I'm just paying homage, homage to the excitement that you told me about and showed me pictures of when yours came in the mail.
I know. And
this came from Debbie. Debbie gave me this.
That's
I have
true.
to wear it.
All right, that's
true.
So, that's true.
Even if I'm swinging my legend, I'll probably still wear this hat. So, yeah, we can't really talk specifics, but we can say basically that everyone can relate, right? We are on an amazing permission.
Yep, just came through.
This just came through, and we got the permission before we did tons of research. Like, we only did a little bit of research, and now we are research junkies. We are just going to town right now, and every day some new revelation hits or some new piece of information that is just making us want the snow to melt so quick.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get out there. We're gonna have some good videos coming out on the YouTube channels for sure, and then eventually being able to talk about it on the podcast here. But a pretty historical location here out in Colorado, and man, my head is just spinning from the stuff that we've uncovered so far.
Me too, man. Yeah. I spent the whole afternoon at the library. You know, the last time I was in the librry was probably 36 years ago. I don't think I've had a library card in like 36 years. It's been a long time.
You need to update. Get on the Google. Come on.
Well, I do all that, but you'd be surprised. There's some stuff in the library, man, in the local museum research place that has a little bit of different information. Found that diary of one of the people involved, and had to go find that right away and look through the pages. But
you got me excited again. I was all concentrating on the show, and now I'm my head's off again.
That's right. One of the reasons why I'm running late tonight, man. I was right up to the second because I was, texting our buddy that we're going to be digging with out there and letting him know what I found, and he's showing me maps. He's telling me, I was like,
Yeah. I'm ready. We'll get out there pretty soon.
Yeah. Everyone in the chat, want to welcome you to RELICS Radio. Good show tonight, man. I'm looking forward to talking to our guests for sure. Who do you see in the chat?
Well, I beat in Mr. Bill Hayes. I had a little bit of a jump because we're late. So I was first in, but Bill Hayes came back in second there. Mr. Bill Hayes, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Always here. Ohio Relic Hunter in the chat with us. We got the
two Bills.
The two Bills. Bill squared. We've got Squatch Brothers Kevin.
Hey there, Kevin. How are you? He says, evening, y'all. Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good to have him.
And we know the rest of you start rolling in here a little bit. I'm probably, Barb will come rolling in complaining about the commercials. She usually doesn't like listening to those commercials.
Denny will be here in about 37 minutes.
And then we know there's a lot of you that listen live tonight, and you don't necessarily participate in the chat. But I hear from you. You guys, there's a number of you that listen every Thursday night, and we appreciate it. Um, how's your weather down there? Like, I keep thinking we get more hammered up here than you do, but every time I see those pictures of your chickens, man,
Yeah.
y'all look pretty cold. So
It's cold. It's cold down there. You know what it is if for a little bit of blowing snow, it starts to build up. The drifts and stuff like that build up, and I was talking to our guest before we came on this tonight. I was out in the middle of a field with a shovel, shoveling spots for my chickens to go wandering because they're like snowed in. So, yeah, I'm always out there just trying to take care of them. But it's a little bit cold. Today wasn't too bad actually. It was in the 30s. I think we hit 30.
sounds like me and my little dog out
Right.
there scratching a patch for him to go out and
Yeah.
do his business.
Right.
Now you're doing it for your chickens.
You got to take care of old Gus up there, man.
Yeah. He's a delicate soul. Crazy. Well, good, man. Yeah, I saw you were hugging your rooster or whatever. That was
Yeah.
I didn't want to get too much dirtier than that, but
Oh, the comments are there. Trust
no,
me.
I bet people are probably giving you the business.
Yep.
Hey, let's bring in our guest, man. I'm real excited to talk to Casey tonight.
Yeah, if you guys don't know Casey, you probably know him as the Key Date Kid over on YouTube. He's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. This guy's all over the place. He's actually the creator, the executioner, the main man of Excalibur Shovels.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. We're going to have a great show tonight with Casey Dittman. Welcome on, Casey.
Hey, Casey, how are you, man?
Hey, fellas. Happy to be here. Doing great.
Good.
Excellent. Yeah, boy, shovels. You make a great shovel. I still use your Sir K.
Yeah.
Still in the back of my car. I still pull that thing out. It hasn't even dented. Like, it hasn't even it doesn't. I haven't even had to sharpen that thing yet. Like, it's a beast, man. It's a beast. When I put on some gloves and then feel those nubbies you put around there, I feel like I can just like barricade, bust down a door or something with it.
Totally.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to RELICS Radio, man. Good to see you. I need to turn my camera on this way. For those of you listening, we're all on camera tonight, and so I want to be able to see my guest. But I got my camera up over here, so if I look at you, I got to look here, but then I got to look over here to see what you guys how you're reacting. So, how are things? Where are you at, man? What part of the country are you in, Case?
I'm in Sandy, Utah, which is just a suburb of Salt Lake City. And we got the same conditions out here as you guys got out there in Colorado right now. So, it's pretty iced over.
What do you do with your addiction when it gets like this?
Oh, I have lots of fun things. I like to make YouTube videos, and I like to organize the collection. When I find stuff, I usually leave it out for a couple months, a month or two, so I can like on the dresser or something, so I can keep looking at it, reminding myself of the awesome experience of finding it. Then I kind of 2x2 it, or put it in the display case, kind of like what Tony's got there. I got a case like that. That thing's pretty wicked.
Yeah, pretty
The
cool.
bottles and everything.
Everyone on the radio is like, "What are you talking about?"
Yep. And
that's cool.
I like to organize my coins. I like to study the history of locations I go to. And I'm a researcher. I find my locations mainly off of research, and I like to befriend the locals in small towns, and work on relationships with them. Sometimes it's taken a couple years to get permission on a location. You just got to build a relationship with somebody. So that's one thing for everybody to know. If you get turned down, just keep a good relationship with them, because I've had people call me 2 years later, go, hey, you know what? Come on out. So
stay after
that's
it.
good.
Who was I watching that did that? And he did a video on it. Was it Zach Bird, I think?
Yep.
Did you see that video, Tony? Zach
Yep.
Bird. He was just like, never give up. He was showing a permission he was going after, and took him a couple years, and he finally just kept being nice to the guy, Casey, and it's like you said, and eventually the guy sort of said, hey, why don't you come on out and stuff, and it turned out real well for him and stuff. And
That's good.
I know we've been rejected a number of times and kept going back, and you sure? Here's some peaches, you sure? Tried to sweeten the deal, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, that's a good. Now the locals in the different towns and stuff. Do you ever hit up Do you ever hit up coffee shops in the morning and kind of try to talk to the locals that are sitting at the breakfast bar there? Or
I've sparked conversations with people like that. Like, I'm checking out and they're like, "Hey, well, those guys over there at that table, they know about this location."
Yeah.
And you go chat with them and they end up being really cool. And, you're talking to them. I was talking to some pretty particular guys and I was like, "Well, do you know who owns it?" And the guy's like, "I do." And I was like, "Oh, great. What can I?" And, you get on there and it just feels great. But, sometimes, you run into people that aren't so into what you're doing, and that's fine. But most of the time, everybody's really cool. And, more often than not, I get the permission. I like to ask. It's, I have a buddy. We actually we almost kind of fight about who's going to ask permission as we're going to the door, because we're wanting to, we think we got the spiel down, and then, we want to prove it. So it's pretty fun. I like to talk to people and earn that permission.
Don't you see, like, a lot of the permissions, like with the old timers and things like that? It's all about the curiosity. They've owned it for so long, or people have told them about certain stories, and they're just as curious as we are, right?
Yep. And they are, and a lot of times they have a few houses. When they own an old house, they kind of their families purchased a few houses right around that area.
Sure.
And one thing I do, which shocks a lot of people I go detecting with, is one of the first cool things I find in someone's yard, even if they don't care about it or care to have something, they're like, "Anything you want's yours." I just give it to them, just to to just say, "Hey,
yeah.
Thank you. I'm not going to try to swindle and hide stuff from you."
Right.
And I show them what I find, and like, they're shocked when I'm giving them Merc dimes and Indian head pennies and V nickels and things like that. People are a little surprised, but I've got plenty of my own that I found already.
Right.
And it just seems like when you do those kind of things, it comes back.
Yeah.
Even better than what you did. But
yeah, sure thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tony and I are usually fighting over detecting AR, asking permission too, but we're usually going, "You do it. No, you do it.
Yeah.
No, you do it. I did the last one. You do this one." Yeah.
Yep. I love to just go up with a big old smile and just make them think I'm gonna cry or something if they say no. And then they're like, "All right." The smile starts to crack.
You show them all the trash then too that you're taking out of their areas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal, huh?
Yeah, and the thing is that they say that it's good to get lead out of the ground. And yeah, I'll show them the can slaw that you find.
Right.
And yeah, there's just so much of it, I don't know if we all, but me personally,
right.
When in my younger years, I ran some cans over with the mower.
Yeah.
That's my punishment.
Usually it's when you're pulling out all this trash, we'll have a 5-gallon bucket of just trash, and they're like, "Where did you get all that?" We're like, "It was out there," and I had no clue there was so much trash out there.
Yeah,
well, we take everything that we dig up, we take all the trash, but we also show you all the good stuff, and you're more than entitled to have any of these things that interest you. Do you have any questions about it? Did you know that this Indian head penny was up until 1908? Or you just start talking about those things, and it sparks even more of that interest, and they see how nice you are about it. They invite you back. Sometimes they bring you beer when you're out there detecting.
Yeah, you get the whole gamut, right? That's what I love about either permission gathering, especially if it's on a ranch or an old home site with a lot of land, because you'll get the full gamut, right? You'll get the homeowners, the landowners that say they know everything about the history of their land, and they're educating you. It's like, "Oh, really? I didn't know that." We'll come there, we're like, there was a school on your property. Yeah, and there used to be a church over there. You're like, "Really? I didn't know that." And then sometimes it's also fun when you get the landowners that just don't have a clue. They're like, there was a schoolhouse on my property. Yeah, it was over there in that corner. Really? Huh, I never knew that. Yeah, we're going to go take a look. And then when you bring back pencil erasers, little eraser collars and all kinds of different stuff that pertain to the school, they're always like,
right.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. And it's a lot of fun, dealing with those. And then if you do treat them right, Casey, they're more apt to introduce you to their neighbors, because a lot of times, especially landowners, especially ranch owners and stuff like that, they know the other ranch owners around them, and sometimes that can really get you some future permissions. You can just stack them.
Right. I actually went to with my buddy to a guy's house, and his name is one of the biggest cities in Utah, his last name, and there was a reason because of that. And he's a farmer, and we're like, "Can we metal detect your house?" And he's like, "No, I got a metal detector. I'm a metal detector."
Oh yeah, we've got that one. We've got a permission that's doing that to us.
Yeah. He told us, though, out in my field there, see those two giant pine trees out in that field there? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, between those two trees, there used to be a church that was built in the 1800s, and it was knocked down in the 1950s. You can go out there and metal detect. So me and my buddy, we went out there, started metal detecting. It was kind of a slow start. And probably after about an hour, my buddy just starts freaking out. He's like, Casey, get over here. You got to see this. You got to see this. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I just got a silver dollar. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Kidding.
And at that point, I hadn't found a silver dollar yet. I found 2 cents, but at that point, I hadn't found one. So I was super jealous. And I went over there. I think it was an 1891 Morgan dollar.
Wow.
And it was a little, it did take a little ding from his shovel, because he wasn't using Excalibur at the time.
Right, obviously.
But when I went over and I saw it, I was just, oh my gosh. And I set my detector down, and I have the Equinox 800. It goes 12. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was like, well, I don't want to bottom feed off you or anything, but there's a nickel right here, I think. And he's like, he holds a silver dollar up to my face. He's like, bro, I got a silver dollar. It's your nickel. And I'm like, okay. So I crack in there, and then I wave over it. The clod, it goes to a 9. I'm like, ah. So I crack the dirt clod apart, and it's a 14-karat gold ring.
Oh, a little better
Perfect.
than nickel.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That is so cool, man.
So right at the same, like probably about 5 feet apart, gold ring and a Morgan dollar.
Wow.
Jeez.
Out in the farmer's field. And then the farmer, we showed him, and he came out and he used his he mowed it down really short for us all over. And
wow, I gotta like that.
We were popping buffalo nickels and V nickels, and it was pretty cool to do something like that. I love going to the spot where nobody would know nowadays. It's just an empty field or an empty spot that used to have, life bustling around. To me, that's the neatest things.
Those are my favorite to hunt at, just fields. In fact, we were hunting at do you remember that spot? Well, yeah, Ken, where you got your Indian head penny, your first Indian head penny. There was what was that, a church? I think it was a church on that corner.
Church site, right?
And I had posted some things on Facebook on a county website. It's like a county page that the people that lived in the county had started on Facebook. And I just put something out there trying to get more people, like, hey, come detect over here at my place. And I had posted, something about us being out there. And one of the replies was, we saw you guys out there, wonder what you were doing out in the middle of that field. And then I got to share a little bit about the history of what was there. And then, of course, from, everybody else was chiming in about, oh, I know where this one spot was, or this old house. And it just started to snowball from there. So those fields, man, I absolutely love them.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a permission up north that we have hit the Dickens out of. I mean, we have just hit it so much, but we've only done around the farmhouses, the barns, the silos, the general area. We haven't gotten out into the field because, Colorado, there wasn't a whole lot here before, if 1850s, that's when things became, people started being here, and there really just wasn't much out there. So we were like, farm scrap. We were finding some farm scrap. Every time we'd wander into the field area, it was just nothing but farm scrap. So we're like, okay, well, probably not much out there. And we have 300 acres to hunt. To this day, we haven't hit it. But then I'm looking at old trail maps in Colorado, And there's this one offshoot of the Overland Trail that looks like it cuts right across about the upper third of the property, from what I can discern. And I'm like, maybe we should go hit the north end of that
we're
field.
Gonna do some walking.
Yeah, got to go check that one out again. But I just hope the snow melts, because then it knocks all the weeds and everything down, and then it melts. If we wait till spring, Tony, we're going to have growth like crazy, and then good luck swinging a coil out there, you know?
Right.
So, get a landowner like Casey was just telling us about it, goes out there and mows it
down for you.
That's amazing.
Yep. You send them over here to Colorado.
Yeah, that is great.
Right.
That's perfect. So how long you been in? Go ahead, Tony.
I was just going to say real quick, we had a comment over in the live chat. If you guys are joining us over on Spreaker, you can sign in and join the live chat. Larry Sodbuster's Metal Detect said, Casey told me I get 30% of his precious fines if I join the live tonight. So just make sure that you take care of him, Casey.
Just mail him.
I had to bribe him.
Yeah, pack them all up.
Bribe him.
Send them out. You'll find more. How long you been in the game, Casey? How long you been doing this crazy thing, metal detecting?
I started in about 2013. Maybe 14, right around there. I was working at a pawn shop, and I did the internet sales. And a metal detector came through, and I had seen the Diggers TV show, and I'd always thought metal detecting was really interesting. And yeah, I did think that it was just like gold nugget after gold coin and gold ring and necklace, like everybody thinks. But they told me, hey, don't jump on the first metal detector you see come through here. Just, there'll be lots. And I ended up getting a bounty hunter land star. And my first year out, my first year with it, I got an AT Pro after that. But my first year, I found 3 gold rings with it.
Whew.
And this is kind of how the shovels and metal detecting came together. So I hiked up to this spot that I knew people gathered at, and I had my bounty hunter, and I started metal detecting, and I had a little garden shovel, like grandma's garden, planting tulips shovel. Yeah. And I went to, I dug up my first target, and it was a rivet, like a tent rivet. And the next thing then the spade came off. So now I'm just using the handle with the nub on the end. So it broke off. I'm hiked up to this area. I've got nothing to dig with. And so I'm just chiseling this grass with this nub from this old hand shovel. And I chiseled out a 14 karat men's gold ring. And it's a big one, it goes like on my thumb.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a big one. And I did ding it just a little bit, but you can still wear it.
Right.
And right there at that moment, 2 things came together for me. It was like a, coming together. And that was, now I'm obsessed with metal detecting.
Yeah.
And I found a gold ring.
Right.
It's the coolest thing ever. And the other thing is I'm going to make, I've been fabricating at that point, I'd been fabricating for about 7 or 8 years, which is welding and metal fabrication. And so I thought, I'm going to make a shovel that's going to hold up. So, you can go out in the middle of nowhere and not have to worry about failures and lack of reliability. I was like, I'm going to make something really good and, really strong. And yeah, like I was saying, I worked for NASCAR for a company called Dr. Gas, and I fabricated exhaust systems for like Richard Childress Racing. And then I did a lot of street cars and things like that. I did some for like Roush. And but for NASCAR, I've made like these boom tubes, which is like really long ovalized exhaust. It's flattened out and really wide. But so probably about almost 5 years, every race that like Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., these guys races they were in, the exhaust systems on their cars, I built them. I did put them on the car.
Wow.
I fabricated them here, and then they were shipped to North Carolina.
Wow.
But I had that experience, and I knew, what metals were strong and what metals to work with. And So I ended up joining the National Utah Token Society in 2015.
The what? The Token Society?
Yes, and yeah, Ken. Trade tokens here in Utah.
I love them.
Are highly collectible in Utah. It's you find a trade token, it's worth more than most silver quarters you find here in Utah. I know other states maybe not so much, but trade tokens are a big deal here. People love the local history in Utah, so those things they're just amazing. So the club is called the National Utah Token Society. It's Utah's metal detecting club. There are some other smaller ones here in Utah, the Utah Treasure Association, and there's like a Northern Utah up in Ogden. So, but I joined the one in Salt Lake City, and in 2017, the obsession became this big. I'm an obsessionist. I obsess over things. I was obsessed with golf, and I put in the time, and I became a golf professional, and my new obsession that started back then is metal detecting. So I joined the club, and so 2017 they asked me to be the president, and I was in the president in 2017 and 18 and 19 and 20. So I've been the president 4 times, the metal detecting club.
Wow.
And my first 2 years with the club, that I was attending the club, I started making shovels for club members, and there's a few guys that would just they'd buy one. I'd make them one for really cheap, and they'd buy one, and they'd break it that day, and they'd send me a picture. They'd send me a picture, and then I had a guy. I made him one. He broke it. I made him another one. He immediately broke that one, and I was like, all right, this is a game. This is a game. It's an engineering game.
Right.
And it's one of my. I love engineering, so I spent a couple years, 2 years with these guys before I started selling them on like eBay and on the internet. So I had the design really figured out, and the mathematics, the geometry of it figured out, and the materials, and had something good to sell. I'd figured it out, and now at this point, I actually was researching. I'm at 9 years doing this, and so I really fine-tuned the entire process of fabricating a shovel at this point, and from head to toe, I cover all aspects of the process that need to be covered.
Very cool.
Love it.
Yeah, I wondered how you got into that. I could just see you out there with a little nub trying to dig out a golden coin. That to be like amazing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best ideas come from your experiences, right? I mean, you're out. Last thing you want to do is break your shovel, so you want to perfect a shovel for you, because you're just, you're so focused in on it, and that's, it right. Evolves. You create it and test it, and oh my gosh, that's the best ideas. The best products come that way.
How many prototypes did you make before the guy couldn't break it anymore?
I think I got him on like the 3rd or 4th one.
Cool.
I got him something, and I saw him with it years later, and it looks so archaic compared to what I'm doing now. I was like, whoa,
right?
I didn't do that, but
yeah,
I did. And it's been pretty fun, and there's guys that are using the shovels I made when I was just testing them out still to this day, and they go out multiple times a week.
Yeah.
Ken, how long have you had yours?
I don't know. How long's it been, Casey, since you...
It's been a couple of years.
Sent that one over. Yeah, it's been 3 years maybe. It's been a while. That thing is just holding up, man. I've thrown that thing. I pried with it. I have just, I fell down that hill. Remember we were doing that one thing, we were trying to go in that gully, and I'm just sliding down the gully, and I used it, stop myself on the side of the hill, and I was using it to pull myself up. Like it's been to war with me, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And I love that thing. The Sir K.
The Sir K. It's a
black and gold one.
Yeah. Yep. That's the original. And since then, I've gotten a powder coating oven and a powder coating setup. So I powder coat these things, and people are going crazy for these colors, because I pretty much will try to do anything any color people want. You know, it gets a little ridiculous. I did the Arizona State flag for somebody on a shovel, and it was like 4 or 5 colors. No disrespect, I don't know, but yeah, it was a little overkill, but it's totally, you know, like the rainbow. Yeah, you never know what.
Have you done a tie-dye one yet? Like for a deadhead or something out there?
I haven't, but you know, I've had some that are kind of like that for sure.
Yeah.
And
how does that powder coat stand up? I've never used a powder coated tool, but I always wondered, like, you know, the blade, like how long does that truly last when you're using a powder coat?
Yeah, so the powder coat I use, it's called a super durable powder coat, and I actually have a textured powder coat as well. So like that's the thing that sets me apart from a lot of the other guys is the process I go through to fabricate a shovel. It's a little bit more time to do this. So I'll put on a grip powder coat first, and then I coat over it with a super durable powder coat. And so on the spade, sometimes if you bake it just right, it stays on that spade for a long time. But you know, the leading edge on those, it's going to come off. There's pretty much nothing you can put on metal. You know, you could color it with temperatures changes and things like that, but then you're affecting, you know, heat treatments and things. So there's really nothing you can do. Some guys, I tell them if they really want to keep a pretty shovel and something like that, I tell them, you know, just order one with a black spade, and then you can pick your color for the handle. The handle color, you know, it depends upon how rough you are with it. I've seen them, you know, where they look almost as good as the day they got it, you know, a year and a half later. And then sometimes you see them where it's just bounced off every rock, and they probably, you know, drove it with it hanging out their car door, dragging on the ground, and you see like little dings on it and stuff. But the powder coat, it does hold up rather well. And you know, I even got the glow in the dark for you guys. For Unite,
I saw that.
For Unite, I call it Dragon Hawk. Because, you know, like Nighthawk, and then it's a green color, so it's a mix between. So I call it Dragon Hawk for those
Dragon Hawk.
Wow. Those Nighthawkers out there. They can find their shovel when they're running from the farmer.
How many different models
we can see
do
them
you
out there
have?
so we can report them.
So the models I have right now I have serrations too. So I love to just play along with the Excalibur, right? So I've got the Sir Kay, which is serrations on both sides of the spade. I have the Arthur, which is no serrations. I have the Lancelot, which is left side serrations, and Galahad, which is right side serrations. And you know, I kind of threw in the Galahad. I got that from that America song, you know, Tin Man. Is it Tin Man?
Right. Yeah. It's Tin Man.
Yeah, I like that America song. So I threw that one in when I was putting this all together, and I have a fourth spade that I'm coming out with right now. I've done a few for some people that we're testing, and it's a farm field kind of spade. So I'm working into that. But right now I've got a standard spade, which is about 4 1/4 wide and 8 inches long. Then I have a wide spade, which is 7 inches wide and 9 inches long. And if you order a standard spade, and I offer every inch 17 to 51 inches on my website, but we all know kind of there's 3 lengths that are the most popular: 31, 36, and 40. So those are kind of, I call the 31 standard, I call the 36 mid, and I call the 40 inch an XL. But if you order a shovel 36 inches or longer with a standard spade, it comes with a wider footstep. And that's just because of the length of the shovel. It gives you a little bit more control. I'm all about being lightweight as possible.
Yeah.
So the 35 inch and shorter, I put just the 4 1/4 inch wide footstep on that. Same spade, but just not as wide of a footstep. Some people will have ordered like a shorter one at 36, and they're like, hey, I want the wide footstep. They just leave that in the notes, and I just throw that on there for them, the wide footstep. and it's no issue. But I'm all about keeping things lightweight. That's kind of the most important thing. Lightweight, as light as possible, and an all metal design. I do all metal designs. My hand digger, it's an all metal design. I got a couple here that I'm showing you guys on the camera.
Yeah.
And, we've got, the heat treat and everything figured out on these. And
yeah, the handles actually have these grip, we call them grip dimples. What do you call those? What's the actual term for that?
Little tack welds.
Tack welds.
So, and it adds for this grip, because if your hand, and same with my D handle, I have a D handle that I offer. I like to personally use the D handle, but I'll tell you guys are obsessed with the T handle. You guys love the T handle. I can't believe it. I sell a lot more T handles, but my D handle has this kind of a grip as well, which is the one with the tack welds. And that's because if your hand gets wet or muddy, it is going to spin around on there.
Yeah.
And you'll have it takes away a ton of control. So I've got those on there. A little info. I have a patent I've submitted, and it's called the Metal Detector Shovel patent. I'm the first person to ever submit a patent for a shovel specifically for metal detecting.
Oh, wow.
And it's got a bunch of stuff in there. My hand grips, my the tack weld layout and everything. And I also have my Merlin, which is the shovel that breaks down into two pieces, and it's for travel. There's a lot of guys going to England with those. I got one for. I had Michael Bennett called me and wanted one, and
cool.
So I got him one sent over to him, and he took it over there. And he was I don't watch a ton of his videos anymore, but. I'd like to, but I'm too busy making shovels. Chill Bill, he was on Chill Bill's, and Chill Bill was going, oh, look at this shovel, and it's pretty cool to see, it digging over there. Same with like Ill Digger. Ill Digger dug that crazy gold ring with the
ring, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been knocking it dead over there, I'll tell you what. So you just told us a lot about you. You got a lot of models and a lot of customizations you do. But we do have a suggestion from our listening audience, that people joining us here in the live chat room today. Ohio Relic Hunter Bill, he's got a suggestion for you. He said, you know what, Casey? If you ever come out with a rounded shovel, that's a round shovel, he has dibs on naming it Circumference.
Circumference.
But
I like it. And then there was one, somebody told me I want you to make this shovel and call it Survival.
Survival. See?
Mm-hmm.
You're feeding the trolls. You're feeding the trolls.
Is it 3-prong?
Circumference.
Circumference. I like it. Good job, Bill. Boy, every show that guy just cracks me up.
But yeah, so basically I have the wide spade and a standard spade, and you can choose your length. I have a fitment explanation on my website on how to fit yourself. It's my personal explanation. And other people have different beliefs and everything like that. So, just feel free to ask questions. I talk to at least probably 3 to 5 people per week on the phone about shovels and what was going to fit them the best. I'm open to chatting and all that. So you just gotta send me an email or a messenger message, and I'll fill you in the best I can on them.
Yep. I've never used one of your hand diggers before, but I definitely use your Sir K shovel. I could definitely testify to the fact that thing is a monster and absolutely does everything I need it to. And the main thing for me is it needs to be durable. It needs to stand up. And just like I told you a second ago, I need to be able to throw that thing, drag it, drop it, pry with it. Sometimes you get that underground metal, that underground iron or something, and you're like, all right, it sounds like it's a little localized target, but then when you get your shovel underneath it, all of a sudden you see the whole ground start to move for about 1.5 foot, 2 foot, and you realize you're prying up an axle or something. And you don't want your shovel busting on you like that, and then holding an edge is pretty good too. But all edges are going to wear out eventually. But yeah, if you guys want to check it out, ExcaliburShovels.com. Tony put the link in the chat room. You can definitely click on that. Down below in the description of the podcast, we have all his links down there too. You can go check it out. And just look through that site, man. There's a lot of information. I like the fact that you cater to the customer so well that they can just customize it as they need to. You're not just kind of going, yep, I've got a red one and a black one, and I've got, the 31 inches or the 36 inches. That's it. I only make one type of handle, and that's all. You're giving people options, and people like options, right, Casey? I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
They love them. And
options.
I'm not trying to confuse people with too many options. I there is kind of like it's kind of the way it's laid out. It's easy to understand. I just give a lot of color options and things like that. And I like the length thing because sometimes there's just a specific length that somebody wants and it's not available. So there's so many different heights, I deal with people that are 5 feet to 6'5", 6'8", and, we're talking about what's going to work best for them. And it's just fun to figure it out. And then, and then you hear back from them and people just, they're loving the shovels. I'm not skimping on anything in the fabrication process. The shovels are entirely fabricated from high strength, lightweight steel. It's expensive metal, and that's why not a lot of people use it. But to me, I don't like people coming to me later on and going, "Oh, my shovel broke."
Right.
I just want to protect for that, and I've engineered them to hold up to a lot of abuse. But I always tell people, if you love your new car and you're parking at the back of the parking lot, washing it all the time, think about your shovel that way. 99 out of 100 things we dig up is garbage. So, you could break your shovel over something that's just garbage. Right. So love your shovel, and any shovel you get, love whatever brand, love it. Take
all
care
your equipment, right? All your equipment.
Yeah. You're packing in the car, getting ready to road trip. Everybody's, positioning their metal detector in the safest way possible as you're loading the car, Yeah. So,
I got a good question for you, but first, Tony, you see what's going on in the chat? Like people jumped all over.
The chat is blowing up. We've had this happen one other time. People going off with some the comedy channel over here. So Dave Crookshank, he said, how about one called the David Spade Joe Dirt one?
David Spade.
Yeah, the David Spade. Right.
Joe
Dirt. And then for the ladies, classic. Call it the Kate Spade. Make that one pink.
Make that one pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're having fun with it for sure. Those are all great ideas.
I love it.
I'm sure Casey is writing all these down. Probably's got to pay for the licensing because I'm sure all these names are protected. I'm sure, but
yeah. Hey, Larry said in the chat, you also have a 5-year warranty. Is that what you've got on your shovels?
I do have a 5-year warranty. This is an investment.
Yeah.
Getting a shovel with me. The price is they're actually priced very well. You guys are spending $1,000 on your detector. So spending 10% of that is not that big of a deal. But it's a relationship. We're going to work together. If you do something dumb and it was kind of your fault, we'll take care of you. We'll still take care of you. But you just got to have an understanding that it's your shovel, you love it, and you want to take care of it, no matter who's you're using. Really, it's but that's the thing is I want people digging with my shovels. I just think it's the coolest thing knowing that someone's out there digging up, some crazy relics in England or Australia. I've sent them to Israel.
Wow.
And Australia and lots to Europe. So it's cool knowing people are using those all over the world. I forgot how many continents I'm on that I think about. I don't think I got one in Africa yet, and then Antarctica. Come on, Antarcticans.
You heard it here on Relics Radio. Get a hold of them. You got the website right down below and in the chat.
That's right.
What'd you think? Do you ever think you'd be shipping to all these continents and stuff when you first just started making shovels for your for your buddy. You know, I had a buddy who started making hot sauce the same way. He just started making it for his customers, and he'd give it to them when they would come in. He was a manager of a restaurant, and he'd give it to them, and they just started wanting it and wanting it more, and make some extra for him. And so him and his wife turned it into a small business, and now they sell to all the Kroger stores, and they, you know what I mean? They're shipping them all over. So I know it can work. So congratulations to you if it's definitely grown for you.
It's amazing. It's amazing how it's grown. It's way longer and way harder than I would have ever imagined it being. But it's since I'm passionate about it, it's all been worth it. It's taken a long time to build up all the tools and everything that it takes to do it. And but it's just something I'm passionate about. So it's not like work for me. And it's my full-time job now, and I'm going about 10 to 14 hours a day making shovels.
Wow.
And after Christmas, that's the busiest time of the year for me. Everybody gets their detector and they don't know what to dig up there. How am I going to dig it? And that's when I come in.
Well, you're going to get lots of orders from us tonight. I've been just spamming our chat with your website, so you're going to have a whole bunch of your email is going to blow up here while you're sitting here talking to us.
I hope so, man. Awesome. They're good shovels. They're great shovels. So, serrated versus non-serrated, what's more popular?
The Cirque model is the most popular by far, many times over, and that's serrations on both sides. It outsells all the other ones combined multiple times over. So that's what you want to go with. People say, hey, it affects your plug, but really what you're digging in is what affects the plug. Is it sandy? Is it really organic? That black dirt that we love. It just matters what you're digging in. If you're digging in like clay and that black dirt, you're going to get good plugs even with a serrated edged shovel. Very minute difference between that and a non-serrated. So I would always tell people serrations, when you have them and you realize what they're doing, like you go into an alfalfa field and you have no serrations versus serrations. Like I used to use a lance a lot. I use a Cirque now myself. I used a lance a lot, left side serrations. I went out in this alfalfa field, down in a place you guys probably know something about with your history. I've seen your videos and whatnot with the military and whatnot. Went out to this farm field and I had to go left because the serrations were on the left side to cut through this alfalfa. And if I didn't have serrations, I would have been done out there. It would have been a punisher. So I always tell people serrations are always super handy when you need them.
Yeah.
You can really work, I've seen people cut through like 3-inch roots with them, but I'd probably say like 1 to 2 inches, you can really just saw through those things pretty quick.
Yeah. Where were we, Tony? Maybe at one of those sites he's talking about where we were in the underbrush. We're crawling through the up underneath and going down in there with those little tiny roots and stuff. Yeah, you definitely, it was great.
Serrated.
If you need some serrated.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, my first shovel was a Samson, I guess.
Yeah.
T31, and it wasn't serrated, and it worked fine. It works fine. It's a good shovel too. I've used it for years, but as soon as I got that Cirque, it was like, man, it was just different. You know what I mean? Like it was more effortless to push your foot into it. And I quickly switched. So it's a great shovel.
Appreciate that. The geometry of it, it's a little bit different, and it did take time figuring out that, because that Samson shovel, there's just not a lot of room for your foot on them. And so I like to give a little bit more room than that on the shovels, especially with the bigger spade shovels. You got plenty of room for your foot, and it just allows you to work it in better. And I kind of think it's a little bit of a Cadillac of shovels, but it's still lightweight. That's my goal, is to keep the shovels as light as possible.
How do you do that?
You can
dig giving away your secrets. Yeah. I don't want you to give away your trade secrets, but that's difficult to do, to make them durable and light. I think a lot of shovels have problems at weld joints, weld points.
Yeah.
How do you avoid that, Casey?
It's experience. Once you do it, you've seen failures. You learn from it, and you go back over the design and just positioning, everything like that. Once you figure that out, and you can really make it tighten those things up from stopping those things happening. And there are definitely some tricks in there that I have that make it so the welds are really strong, and right next to the weld is really strong as well, which that's the weakest point. But yeah, there's other things going on in there. If people don't realize everything that's going on in these shovels, when just by looking at them, there's so much more. Like I said, I'm an obsessionist. I sit and when I close my eyes at night to go to sleep, my brain is thinking about like designing, the design, making things better, the shop tooling, everything. That's how I fall asleep.
Passionate. That's passionate.
It's a little obsessionist.
Yeah.
But I offset that with metal detecting.
There you go.
I was reading a book last night, doing some research just before I went to bed, and one of the last things I read put me on a different track. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, there has to be something that now ties into that. And so I could try to go to sleep, and I'm sitting there, and my wife's like, how come you're having trouble going to sleep? I was like, you don't get it. I got to get back up right now and go get back on the computer. I gotta try and see this. She said, you big dork, I'm like, it's when it hits. You just got to go for it, Right. I'm sure you're the same way. You come up with an idea, you're up sketching, you're going to get
Definitely.
up, write some stuff down. Yeah.
Definitely. I'll wake up out of a sleep and write something down or draw a picture for sure. The brainstorming happens. But I got my story for you, Ken, that I think it's a special story for you.
Okay.
I'm going to go through it here real quick. So
sure. Yeah.
We do, do you guys ever do gridding? You call it gridding, where you drive through the city looking for, tear outs, whatever.
Head on a swivel. Yep.
Absolutely. So I did it one day. I was downtown and didn't find anything, or didn't find any spots. So I started heading home. And, once you get away from Salt Lake, it's about, the 40 to 80 acres that you see the old 1900 or older houses. And I got pretty far away from Salt Lake, and I saw a house that was it was under, construction. They were fixing it up, renovating it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to ask him. It was old. It was 1800s, red rock foundation. And I went up and asked the guy, and I said, hey, can you mind if I metal detect? And he's like, sure. He's like, you going to share? I was like, sure, I'll share. And I started melting. I was finding wheat pennies, and I found a grundle of the children's play money, the aluminum play money. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I found some Merc dimes and some rosies. And I got near this big box elder tree and went in, and I don't know if it was my first or second, but cracked out a Walking Liberty 1945 silver half. And I was just super stoked. I showed the guy, I told him, like, I want to keep this one, but you can have everything else if you want it. And he's like, man, just give me a Merc dime.
Really?
And so I was like, all right.
Cool.
Yeah, so he let me keep it, and that was, really important to me. I wanted to keep it, but if not, hey, it's all good. Yeah. And so it was really cool. I looked up the year on it. It was 1894, the house. And as soon as I got done, I called my parents, and I told my parents, hey, I just was at this house. I just found a silver half. I think it was my first one. I just found a Walking Liberty silver $50. It's so crazy when you see
a big chunk of silver, man.
Yeah. A silver dollar, a $50. When you see that, it's just so strange looking almost.
Right.
And I called my parents, and I was telling them, I'm like, hey, I just detected this house. I was downtown, and I got away. I got down to, this street and this street. And I was telling them, and I was on speakerphone with them. And I could hear the background. I could hear my mom saying to my dad, saying, "Is that the place? Is that the house? Is that the place? Is that the house? Is that?" And I'm like, what? And I'm like, silver half. Can you guys believe it? And they're that was on this address, this street and this street? And I'm all, yes. And they're all, that's your dad's aunt's house.
Oh man, family.
They owned it from 1948 till 2014.
You didn't know? You had no idea.
I had no idea, and I had been there when I was a little kid. When I was probably about 3 years old, I'd been there, and maybe I had a feeling because of that. And the other thing is the lady behind came out and started talking to me, and she said, she's all, I told her who I was, because I went back to the house later on, and I asked the guy, I told him about everything. I said, hey, this is my family's, my dad's aunt's house. And I'm like, can I metal detect some more? And he's like, yeah. He's like, do you want that Merc dime back? And I'm like, no, you keep the dime. And this lady came out that lived in the house behind it, and she goes, are you Roger's son? Because I told her about my family. And I'm like, no, that was my dad's uncle. That was another relative. That was it was his sister that owned the house. Wow. And she's all, well, Roger sold me this house in 1972.
Wow.
At the house right behind. But I literally, in the play money, it's from the 40s and 50s. So I literally
family members.
Yep. I keep all this. I have everything that I found at the house there in a bag together, because my own family my own blood dropped some of those coins for sure. Maybe not all of them, but some of them, they dropped for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy.
Just dumb luck that you went there.
Yep.
Was not knowing.
Yep. And just a really crazy that I got to dig up stuff, even though it wasn't too distant in the past. It was just amazing for me to dig up something from my own family to know it.
That is crazy. It's always been one of my dreams to do that. And I've had a couple of experiences. We got maybe some more opportunities coming up in Kansas here this next year, but, yeah, just have you ever done? That's an amazing story, man. Thanks for sharing that with me. I'm gonna think about that now. But have you ever purposefully gone after family, property, ancestry, property, heritage property, and if so, found anything, or have you not done that?
I've done a little bit of that. It's neat because if you guys go through the old newspaper archives, you ever do that?
Yes.
Super cool. So my great grandpa, he owned a bar on State Street. It was called the Heine's Heidelberg. And yep, and he was a German immigrant, and I'd read these newspaper articles, and there's pictures of him in these old newspapers standing in the bar, and the building's still there and everything.
Wow.
And I read a few things like it got robbed 2 days in a row. They broke in, and so they'd steal like the cigarettes out of the cigarette machine, and they take the change and stuff out of the door. And this stuff, one thing they said that they left behind was the dish of tax tokens.
Wow.
They left the dish of tax tokens behind.
Wow.
But
I love those newspapers. Like you find out so much you find out so much stuff you just had no idea of, and even stuff you were not even looking for, you'll run across, and you'll be like, oh my gosh. Like in the old town I used to live in, it was there was a park. As a matter of fact, when Tony and I first got together, we were going to go hunt a park, and I did some research on it. Found out they used to do like carriage races out there and all kinds of stuff. It's been around since the beginning. Well, they started building these houses out there by the park. It was kind of on the outskirts of this town. We're talking 1880s or so, and these little, it started bringing in an unsavory element, according to the newspaper articles. Right? They were like bedding houses, and then all these little like shanty houses started springing up over there that people would stay in because that's where all the action was in town, and the bars started popping up over there, and people in town who were part of these people that came from Chicago, the Chicago colony, and they were like picturing like this utopian society of prairie town, and instead they're getting all this, rough and rowdy stuff. So they're in the newspaper petitioning people. We need to get rid of this unsavory element, and move this park way outside of town. And they eventually did. They moved it way outside of town, but. Just seeing all that and seeing what was important to the people of the day and what issues were important with them, and it's always fun. Then you get those smaller newspaper ones where it's like, Mrs. Carter visited her sister,
right?
Right,
and they ate apple pie after lunch.
Pie. Right,
It's almost documented. It's almost like documented gossip for the town. What was going on in the town. I mean, what else did they have to really do? I mean,
right.
I found one, my grandma, and she's Mrs. Goody Two Shoes. So I found this article. It said her name was it's like 1940 something was sentenced for fined $5 for driving without a license. So I sent it around to the family.
Heck yeah!
And they're like, "What? I would have never believed that."
Oh, that
I do a lot of. Yeah, I've done a lot of genealogy research for my family. I'm the genealogist in my family. And I started like finding all these news. Sometimes you search for a person and you start seeing newspaper articles about something or city directories or something like that. And it got me thinking, I'm like, I'm going to start searching for my mom and her sisters and just see what I can find. Because my mom's got a really interesting history and story. But I saw this newspaper article. And not even an article, but a blurb in a newspaper. It says, Jenny King visited her sister Darlene and ended up in St. Francis Hospital over the weekend, but everything's fine now, or something like that. And I called my mom up and I was like, Mom, do you remember this? Visiting Aunt Dean, Aunt Darlene, and you ended up in the hospital. She goes, oh my gosh, I had kidney stones. She goes, I don't believe that you remember that. Or that you saw that. I go, it made the newspaper, Mom. I think it was back in the 60s, 70s, or something like that, 80s, and it made the newspaper in this little tiny country town where my aunt Darlene lived in. It's just crazy. Hey, got a question that came up in the chat. Tim Milldigger wanted to know, would you ever consider, Casey, trying a custom idea for a customer? And he says it's a top secret idea, and then maybe you can market him after he gets the first one, of course, the prototype. But would you ever consider that, or take, people are interested in that or have an idea for you? How can they contact you? Or would you
contact me through my website or on Facebook and Facebook Messenger and Instagram? But Il Digger, he is one of the first. He bought one of the first Merlins that I came out with, so I appreciate the early support. So from my designs, and I've spent, it's like your 10,000 hours at this point. It's really like that for me, and so what I have and what I offer now, I like to, or I'm open to altering just slight little things like that. But I've tested and proven these shovels, so I know that they're reliable. I've done super custom stuff for people, and there's just a few little issues that happen. And usually when I do something just way off the mark from usual, they have, as soon as they get it, as soon as I finish it, and as soon as I hand it to them, they're like, oh, well, this and this, I want this and this a little different. So it usually takes, when I'm designing something, it takes about 3 to 5 goes at it before it's something that is up to par. So it's a little bit of difficulty in that way, but so like local people, it's easier to do that for them because I can go back and change something right away. But dealing with people far away, it's more difficult because shipping back and forth, things like that. But yeah, I've had a lot of people with ideas, and I tell people, if you have an idea that you think is really special, do not tell anybody. And go to a patent attorney and get a patent on it. And I sat on my Merlin design, my 2-piece design, Well, I was modifying it for 2 years, and I couldn't talk about it for like 2 or 3 years. I couldn't tell anybody. I wanted
It was
everybody
killing you,
down
wasn't it?
metal detecting. We're going metal detecting. People come over to my house, and I just want to like just go in the closet and pull this shovel
Check
out
this
and
out.
be like, look at this.
Right.
But I couldn't, and it was so hard. But I did good, and I tell people that if you have something that you think is super special, go through the process, get a patent on it, protect yourself, because as you see, people, there's a lot of people that try to do little knockoffs and things like that. And I don't mind that I'm inspiring or being inspirational or giving people ideas and whatnot. Little things here and there, like it's from what we see and learn from in this world, that gives us ideas. You can't just come up with an idea without knowing or seeing anything ever. So, but on those custom things, it's difficult, but I'm open to those things. But for the most part, small modifications on the shovel. Sometimes people don't want a D or a T handle; they just want like a straight handle on it. I've had people ask about a ball handle, and I haven't been able to find a supplier on the materials and all that. So I haven't been able to offer that, but it's something I'd like to be able to do a little bit more work on finding it. But the straight handle, I've had people ask, and yeah, I have 51 inches. I've had people, I think I've gone like 58 inches. I've made some crazy stuff.
Plugmaster Ford size.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Jeff Ford, tall man.
Tall man.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
And there's a guy back in Pennsylvania. His name's John, and he has a channel. I think it's called Finders Keepers, and he talked to me about a shovel, and it actually worked out that I could do this shovel for him, and it's and what it comes down to, it's 11 inches long, the spade, and I forgot if he ordered 36 or 40 inches, but it was 3 pounds 9 ounces, and I think it was 36 or 40 inches with an 11-inch spade on it. This is going farm field, and I kept it. I was shocked. I thought it'd be pushing near 4 pounds, and I was worried. So I don't like anything really being too over 4 pounds, and it was only 3.5 pounds. And I'll explain something that's interesting. That another thing that's Excalibur is so I looked up how much does a medieval sword weigh, and I thought about that because hey, you're fighting all day with a sword. You're going everywhere with your sword. You're carrying it. It's kind of the same thing as a shovel in a way, with what we do.
Right.
And so I was like, the weight has to be as if, a soldier could hold it. And so I looked it up on the internet, and it says 2.5 to 4 pounds is the average weight of a medieval sword. And it makes sense. I knew that there'd be, correlation between the two. And so that's where I set my weights at with my shovels is because of that. I try not to go over 4 pounds. Obviously, when you get into the 50 plus inches, it starts pushing the 4 pound mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, I would think that'd be over 4 pounds for sure.
Right.
And how much your hand diggers weigh? Have you ever weighed them?
They're going to be even lighter now because I got my new heat treating process here, and I know that people can't see on the radio what I'm showing you, but now I've got it's just there's less weld on it. There's only one weld, which is the handle to the spade now, and I think this is going to be about 11 ounces now. It might be 10, but I think it's going to be about 11 ounces. The hand digger is I think it's about 1 inch or 1/2 inch longer than like the standard hand diggers, like the Lesh.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a little bit longer, and they're a little wider too. So the hand digger, the spade on the hand digger is a little bit wider than most that you run into.
Do you sell them with a sheath?
You know, I do not sell them with a sheath right now.
Right now.
It's
Wink.
I've got them
Yeah.
before. I've got them before, and I ordered this a bunch from a guy, and the belt loop on the leather sheaths was not big enough to fit the plastic clips that are on the Grey Ghost, Mine Lab, Garrett Finds pouches. You need a bigger belt loop for that.
Right.
So I didn't list them on my website. I would just tell people when they asked about that I had them. And I just sold my last one to a gentleman in Washington. And I'm waiting. There's one guy that people know about, and I've been waiting on him, but I don't know if it's going to come through now because it's been like 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to find a reliable leather sheath guy, but I have other ideas that I'm coming up with right now. But I am like, the amount of time I spend, like when I'm done with this tonight, it's back out to the shed.
Yeah.
So it's
cool.
it's so much time, and it's cold out here, and I just got a propane heater in there. That's it.
There you go.
So.
But you're working.
Right.
Yeah, and
your passion.
Yeah, and you know what? A 10 to 14 hour day feels like 4 hours for me. I love doing it. I love just being out there, and I love listening to the RELICS Radio podcast when I'm working. It's so awesome.
Perfect. I'll send you $20 in the mail tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks,
And I listen to.
I get it.
I've been listening to a lot of different YouTube. I subscribe to a lot of metal detecting channels, so I've been just exploring a lot of new channels too while I work, and it's been so fun. Listening to different people's finds, and you get Adventures in Dirt. That brings a lot of different diggers to light, and you get to see a lot of different stuff. So that's I love the Adventures in Dirt show.
Yeah. Thanks.
And I was on it when I was just super in my infancy, my channel.
Yeah,
so it was just the coolest thing. I had the family. I got the whole family down. Oh yeah, gathered them around. They were shocked. They were shocked and surprised. They thought I was the coolest person.
That's great.
For that moment.
That's so cool.
That is cool, man. I love hearing stories like that.
It's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
I probably watched that 100 times.
Yeah, like look.
Well, it's me.
That's you. That's me. Yeah.
And I got my 1914 D wheat scent.
Yes.
Back then. And how I got my nickname, the Key Date Kid.
Yeah, we're going to get to your YouTube channel here. We were talking about jumping over to your YouTube channel real quick. The Key Date Kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, tell us about that. How did that come to be?
So I was metal detecting this area in Salt Lake, and this guy, he was so nice. It's crazy how many people downtown Salt Lake, their name's Mike. But there's a lot of Mikes down there. But he was so kind to me, and just I couldn't believe how nice this person was, and he let me go anywhere on his property, and I could come back anytime. And so I metal detected the first time I went to his house. He let me metal detect, and when I was finished, I sat on his porch and I just looked up all the coins I'd found to see how much they were worth. And it turned out one of them was a 1908 S Indian head penny, and according to coin trackers at the time, it said it was worth like $60, but I think they're worth like 120 in the red book. But I told the guy, I said, hey, this, and I got a Barber dime here, 1903 Barber dime, and anything you want's yours. I just am so thankful you let me come. And he's like, I'll keep it all. And I was like, oh, all right. And he's like, this one's worth $60, this one here. And he's like, well, and I'm all, the Key Date coin. And he's all, well, then you're the Key Date Kid.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
And, yep. I'm all, it's a Key Date coin, though. $60. He's all, well, you're the Key Date Kid. It's yours. And I was just like, right on. I still have that coin. I don't sell. I like a museum worth of stuff that I've saved up now. And, I love bottles. I love all the different treasure hunting that comes into play. So I don't want to, I wasn't big into arrowhead hunting. And then I had a friend take me to a friend's farm, and I found some, and they're like, this rock is not, it's 400 miles from here where this rock came from. And you're just like, wow. And this is 700 years old. and you're just like, whoa, in the United States.
Right.
So I'm obsessed with
changes the world. Yeah.
Bottle digging, rock hounding, sifting. I love it all. It's just any type of treasure hunting is super cool.
Yeah. Hey, tell you what, I've had so much fun listening to you, man, and it's been great. But we've just blown through the time here. Haven't had a time to open up the phone lines. I'm opening them now. So if you want to call, if you've been waiting in to call, I'll let you know that the phone lines are now open and you can call us. Talk to Casey, talk to Tony, talk to myself. 270-495-0315. 270-495-0315. Give us a call. We got about another 10 minutes. We can get you on the line. Ask Casey whatever you want. But yeah, sorry about that. Kind of got too carried away listening to these killer stories.
I know.
Hey, so have you done any gold prospecting out there in Utah?
I haven't. I hear, people are like, go over the tailings piles. Right. And so I've done that. And I like, if a rock, I got rocks that give non-ferrous signals. So I keep them.
Got to be in there.
Right? So I have all these pile of rocks that have a non-ferrous signal.
Now you got to crush them. Yeah.
And yeah, I've crushed some of them. And there's like, I don't know if it's like a phosphorus, but there's like yellow in there. And I don't know exactly, what it is, and say I need one. But and carrying those things down the mountain. The tail,
a lot of work, right?
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But it's, that's, you never know. It could end up being a little, a little chunk of something good later on, a little retirement fund.
Right. Hey, we got a caller calling in. Tim Digger, you're on the phone with Casey, Tim, Tony, and myself. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you?
Good, Tim.
You're one of the early users of the Excalibur Shovels.
Yeah.
The Merlin.
The OG.
Yeah. Yep. I'll be honest with you, it was actually a gift from my wife. But, it's, we love it. It's indestructible.
Yeah.
2-piece unit, and like you said, it's indestructible. We love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the reason I'm calling is I heard Casey mention, I was busy messing around in the chat, and I caught part of it, and I said, what did he say? So I thought, let's go back and listen, but I got you on the phone here. Are you working on a field spade? Is that what you said? Is it top secret, or is it already out?
I'm working on a what? The field spade?
I think you said something about, a wider blade or something, like a field spade you're calling it.
Yeah, I've been kind of holding off on talking about it, but I'll talk about it. It's not something to hide at this point. There's pictures out there and whatnot. So what it is it's I have the standard spade now, and I have the wide spade, and this other spade that's going to be available is called the W and L. So it's wide and long. So it's 7 inches wide, like the wide spade, but it's long, and it's 11 inches long.
Wow.
And so you get 3 more inches than the wide spade, 4 more inches of depth to the standard spade. It's kind of focused in towards the field hunters and the farm field guys, and you can move some dirt with them.
That's what got my attention, because that's where I like to hunt too, in the field. So I got my attention.
Yep, and they're going to be pretty lightweight too for what you get.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have them on your website already for viewing, or are they on Facebook? Or
I don't, but you know what? I'll probably be up until like 2 a.m. tonight again.
Yep.
Working on the website, and I will get those up. And that's the crazy thing. I get done working for the night, 10 o'clock. Those neighbors.
Yeah.
And then I spend a couple hours making boxes to ship, and then I'm working on the website, because it just seems like no matter what you do, you try to just, encompass everything, but no matter what you do, there's just always, a question that comes through that you're like, and then it comes again. So that you gotta answer that question, by making things more clarified, clearing things up on the website. So then I'm up to like 2 a.m. doing that. And it's just, It's crazy. I just look forward to the days of when the snow goes away and I can go metal detect to alleviate it.
That's right.
There you go.
You been getting out, Tim?
I actually have been. I've been out the last. I actually went out tonight a little bit after work. The ground's not frozen. We got some snow. The temperatures are dropping. It was crazy. Doing the same thing tonight. As you dig a hole, every hole you dig leaves another layer of dirt on your shovel, and it freezes. So after about 10 or 12 holes, your shovel's your blade's about 2 inches thick, and you can hardly step in the ground. So it has so much resistance.
Right.
Are you Casey? We need a heated blade for us northerners, right?
Right?
There you go.
Perfect.
See?
Yeah.
Little
now it's
battery
be
pack
4
on
o'clock
the
tonight.
back.
There's probably other ways to get around that besides heat. And there's things I'm working on. But yeah, it just seems like this time of year you just get more and more mud caked up on it. I just keep digging with it. And I just think when I get home, I'm going to wash this off. I'm going to put the boots in a bag before I get in my car.
You're much more tidier than I am. Way tidier. Everything just gets launched in the back of the truck, and that's the way it looks when I get it out the next time.
Well, I'll pull the Equinox. Take it apart, take it in the bathtub, give it a nice cleaning in the bathtub, and hope no dirt goes down that drain because I don't want it.
Yeah, I have no idea why that backed up on me. I have no idea.
There's no reason that the main is clogged.
Right.
Shoot.
Don't put your dental
that was my
floss
question.
down the drain. Don't put dental floss down there.
Right.
I did that.
No.
And it was bad.
It was bad.
Hey,
And
Tim,
I got a
thanks for
root canal.
calling, man. We appreciate you calling in.
Thanks, Tim.
No problem. Have a good night, guys. No problem. Talking to you. Good night.
See ya.
Good night, Tim.
So yeah, when people head over to your YouTube channel, Casey, what do you want them to go look at? What are some recent videos that you're really proud of? You think they definitely would like to check out? Because we pushed your link all over the chat room, and then also down in the description, you can go find the link to the Key Date Kid on YouTube.
There's a lot of good videos on there, and they're kind of like highlight reels. They don't give quite the reality of what we're doing. I have some epic videos that I want to post, but I've got some issues, with the guys, they're watching your videos and then they're going out there and saying the property owners, they know me, things like that. So I'm having, I'm kind of holding off on, it slowed me down on making videos. I just wish, I could inspire people in a different way, like just to study the history of places and try to figure things out that way. But we've got some awesome videos on there, like you guys are talking about these old trails and whatnot, like I found a monster silver spoon and it had these hallmarks on the back. And I'm like, I didn't know if it was silver, but I was like, I'm holding on to this. And I ended up researching it and I decoded the hallmarks. And it's tough because the hallmarks go through the alphabet. So after the alphabet, you go through the alphabet, they just start over again. So A through Z, then it starts over. So the years gets difficult. But these three men worked together in England but it was only for a certain time period. So boom, it locked a date in for me because these guys were only together for like 6 years. Wow. So boom, like it pinpointed the date. This spoon, it's a monster. It's 1809.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
And I found it out here, and it was. And the thing that was crazy is I didn't know at the time, but when I researched it, I was on a wagon trail.
Yeah, I was saying that had to fall off a wagon or be left behind by something. Because the Bonnery
party went right through that.
Oh, really?
100%. Yep, they went through that. A lot of people don't know that out here, George Donner buried his chest of gold, and it's never been found. Maybe it has, and somebody didn't say anything, but there's a chest of gold possibly buried out here.
Love those treasure stories.
Gold stories are great.
You got to go after it. Yeah, I know that Tony and I were chasing down a legend. I'm not gonna, we still working it, so I won't give too much away. But there was a story about, and part of the story was um, these guys getting killed. As part of the story, and we kind of tracking it down. We think we found the property, and there was a lot of other stuff that happened around this too. And when we finally were asking the permission and stuff, the guy was like, "Okay, yeah, go ahead. You can go here. You can go there." He's like, but we didn't know if we had found the right spot. The guy's telling us the story. He goes, "Yeah, you can go here. You can go there." And he said, "But stay off the hill. Stay off the hill and leave those guys' graves alone up there. Don't be touching those guys' graves." And Tony and I were both like,
Graves. That's it.
This is the place. Oh, we found it, And this guy assumed that we just knew, or that's why we were there, because we had found it. He didn't want us anywhere near the graves, of course, right? But as soon as we heard that, we were like, all that research to point you in that one direction, that one little spot. When no one else has really found it, it's like, oh my gosh. Same with the treasure, man. You're going to go look for that treasure. You're going to find it. Donner's treasure.
Yep.
Casey, the Key Date Kid, finds the Donner treasure.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
In St. George, Utah.
But that's the
St.
thing
George.
is it's funny because think about how many treasures are found out there that nobody ever talks about. Because if you did, there could be somebody claiming it, something like that. There's probably a lot of things like that are happened. There's probably incredible discoveries that, unfortunately, people don't talk about. I kind of thought there's one thing here in Utah where they're planting I think it was $5,000, and they give them a Forrest Fenn, kind of a poem to you.
Clue, yeah.
Right.
And I was thinking, I'm gonna go find it, and I'm just not gonna say anything.
Not say anything.
Right.
Right. Just not say anything to anybody. Just go find it. What if I have to pay taxes on that $5,000?
Right.
I'm not gonna say anything. But
that's what Forrest Fenn did. He's like, once you find it, sit on it for 30 days. Think about what you want to do. You can tell somebody if you want, but he recommended people didn't really just sit on it for 30 days and think about it.
Yeah.
But
you get a Mormon gold coin. I'm sure you guys have probably heard about them in Colorado. If you find a Mormon gold coin, some are worth about $7,000 to $10,000, but you get a $10 or a $20, you're looking at $50,000 to $300,000.
Yeah.
One coin.
Yeah.
And the one interesting thing, they test the gold, right? They can tell where gold comes from.
Sure.
And the gold from the Mormon gold coins comes from Colorado.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that'd be wow. That's not. I
pretty
didn't know
incredible.
That. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the Mormon golds are amazing. They have an eagle on some of them. There's an eagle, and the body of the eagle is a beehive. So it's an eagle, but the body is a beehive. So it's got wings and the head.
Wow.
And the body's a beehive, and the feet are there and everything. It's pretty crazy looking art. I think it's cool.
That's really cool. Have you, without getting too specific, have you been tracing down some of the areas from the Utah War from the 1850s, the late 1850s? Like, are there areas where you can still go and explore and find places? Do they still exist? Or
The club did go to where that massacre was, and they didn't find anything. So I don't think it was in that spot. But the other thing is, there's those. And the other thing is when when General Johnson was coming out here, we know the route they went, and there's still little rock piles. The Mormons would hide up in these canyons and fire, scatter fire. I forgot what they call it exactly, but they just fire at the military.
Skirmish fire. Yeah, they're just randomly. They would.
But you can still see them to this day, where they would pile up these rocks and hide behind them, and they'd fire at the military, at General Johnson's army when they were coming through. And he said he'd give everything he owned back east to be able to bomb Salt Lake City for 15 minutes.
Yeah. It was there's some great stories about that, and that route they took and all the stuff they dealt with. I mean, the Mormons were relentless in all kinds of stuff to frustrate them, stuff to tease them, stuff to make them think twice about what they're getting, to demoralize them. Like they were excellent at war, man.
Yeah, they were done. They were done running. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is where they ended up getting a ton of materials and ammunitions and things like that. When the military left, they sold it and kind of gave it to the Mormons when the Civil War started. That's when they left, and they gave it to the Mormons and sold it to them. So the Mormons got these killer deals on all these cannonballs and things like that, and ammunitions, things like that, and just from them being out here. And one other cool thing is I did go to that area. I found a 1852 trime in that area.
Oh man, is that the only trime you found? I'd give my teeth for a trime. Yeah. Someday. Yep.
I haven't got a large cent, but I've got like a couple half dimes, and I found 19 seeded coins. That's on my seeded list now. I got a couple seeded quarters and 2 half dimes, and the rest are dimes. I got 1 CC seeded dime. But yeah, it's just so cool to have it. It's crazy how related our collections are, and then how different our collections are from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, do they find many large cents out that way? They sure don't out here. Yeah. So when you do, it's a very special thing, you know.
Incredible.
Pennsylvania are like, we find them every day, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ohio.
They make me feel bad.
Ohio.
Yeah, they call those the Ohio Wheaties.
The Ohio Wheaties.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're just out there like no other, just trashed.
Oh man, that's one of my bucket listers for sure. And the gold coin, you know, I've not found a gold coin. I have literally, I went over a $5 gold coin, and because I was sick of digging. I had an AT Pro at the time. I was sick of digging shells. I was tired of it, and I went right over a $5 gold. And my buddy went right behind me, and I looked back at him, and
oh no,
he started videotaping, and a vole had dug it out of his den, and it was in his pile. And
check those piles, people.
Yeah. And, I found a fatty Indian, 1863, in one of those in a pile like that. But he's like, I just found a gold coin. And then when I watched the video later on of when he started videotaping, I could not believe my potty mouth on seeing it. I was just like, F and L, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you effing kidding me? I can't believe it. It's incredible.
Yeah,
that guy
that was
right
me
there.
too. I tell you what, it's actually an embarrassing point for me. Like, it's an embarrassing memory of me because the person I was with, the people I were with, you know, they I don't think they cursed too much, and I don't know where it came from, man. I was like speaking in tongues, like it was, it got bad, and I remember it got bad. It just was coming out of nowhere, and then I realized what was going on. I realized what I was doing, but I was out of body. I was out of mind at that point.
Yeah.
And then I came back into focus, and I just started apologizing because that's all I could think to do, you know, just apologizing for this and that. And if you go watch the video of me finding my gold coin, you'll hear heavy edits from Zach that took the video. It'd be like, hey, and that's because I'm in the background going, so you're not going to have to believe the effing thing. I just haven't
I have a bullet ricochet sound that I put over with the swear words.
Yep. Nice.
Awesome. Gold does bring out the potty mouth, man.
I did find a Dos Pesos gold coin in a ring. It was in a gold ring, but we knew it was out in my friend's yard. His dad lost it hot tubbing in the 80s. And I went out there. I found it in about 15 minutes. Found his gold ring, and he went in with it on his hand and went to Knuckles, his dad. And his dad's like, What are you doing? And he's like, I knew it was out there. I knew it. Got his gold ring after what, 30 years.
Yeah, that's really cool. Hey guys, look, we're out of time. Boy, that went fast, huh? Casey, it goes by so quick.
It does.
Squash Brothers Kevin just said there's a Mormon gold coin on sale on eBay for $55,000. I just sent Tony a link because I hadn't seen them really. 1860 Mormon half eagle, $5 gold coin. My gosh, it's amazing. Like I've never seen them like that. Got a lion on the front and beehive and an eagle on the back. Pretty cool looking coin. Yeah, incredible. See now, if I find one of those, I'll know what it is now.
Yeah.
Yep, on the way up.
A bunch of them went back east to pay for goods out here to bring them out to the west. So there was a bunch sent back east, and then so a lot of them ended up getting melted down. But there could be back east. You guys could find one, with your pine tree shillings and all your other incredible coins.
Yeah,
your weedy large cents.
Let's keep those out west here. We'll find them out here in the mountains.
Yeah,
we will. Whole beehive gold. That's
There's been a guy that in the club that has found one.
Wow.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep. And he won't tell where he found it.
Of course not, right?
But it's been pretty cool.
Wow.
They're out there, and once you know they're out there, then it's always in the back of your mind. I mean, gold coin for me was never really in my mind, especially. I don't know why I thought because Colorado, because I mean we have soldiers here, and if you have soldiers, you have possibility of gold coins. But I just never thought it was just never even thought for me. Like,
you can find the payrolls when they got paid and the dates, and then you can match that with where they were at, and then there's your X marks the spot.
There you
and
go.
those soldiers. They dropped them coins.
They did. They put it right here on RELICS Radio.
Yep, the $1.
January 26th.
Like Ken knows. The $1.
Yeah.
But we're all trying to do that. We all want that gold coin. That's. I've thought maybe I'd stop metal detecting if I found a gold coin, but I know I wouldn't. It would just make me even more addicted.
Yes, that's it.
I remember Brad with Green Mountain Metal Detecting told me that too one time, that he would quit if he ever found a gold coin. He was on my live stream show. I used to have Digger Spotlight, and he was telling me that, and then I swear like a month later he found it. He found this little gold coin, and he's like, oh, I said I would give up if I found one, but now I got to find another one.
Oh man, that'd be so cool.
That'd be incredible.
Well, hey, we ran over because we started late, so we're going to go ahead and end it. But I tell you what, Casey, you've been a great guest, man. Thank you so much. And I'll give you last word, just a quick sign off from you, and then if you want to hang on till after the outro, you and I and Tony can say our goodbyes off the air. You okay with that?
Sure.
All right, great. I'll give you the last word, and then we'll get out of here.
Get that coil on the soil, and don't forget to take your Excalibur shovel with you. We'd want to be part of your digging adventures.
Sweet.
Love it.
Links right down below. Links throughout the chat tonight. Definitely go check it out, Excalibur Shovels. Teresa's in the chat. Good to see you, Teresa. She's a user of the shovel. Larry, got a bunch of users here that showed up tonight to support you. That's awesome. Tony, what do you got?
Guys.
Yep.
Yeah, just want to say thanks to Casey for coming on tonight. Great guest. I've had a great time. And you can find all of my stuff out on YouTube or Facebook, 5280 Ventures. Just put that in the search. You'll find me. Got all kinds of good stuff out there. So check me out over there.
You can also find them at chicksdigme.com.
Chicks Dig Me. Yes, Chicks Dig Me.
Don't go there. That might be some kind of crazy site.
Don't do that on the work computer.
That's funny. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us again for another RELICS Radio. Join us next Thursday. We got another great show for you. And like always, if you get out, go find the good stuff. Stay warm. Boy, it's cold out there. I hope you're in a nice warm country that you can keep digging in. And we'll catch you next Thursday. Thanks to Casey for coming on tonight. Tony, as always, thanks for joining me. And boy, let's hope that snow melts soon. I got to get it, do some digging. Here we go. Have a good night.